Hi, Carol DeVargas with Anger Management Counseling Services. I have Anger Management Read 1 and 2, and today I wanted to finish up with Anger Management 3. I hope that the couple videos that I already did have been helpful for you, and God just put it on my heart to continue to make these videos to reach out and to help others that may be struggling with some things, or maybe we know somebody that might be struggling with something. So I did want to finish up this little series of anger management, and I'm going to just jump right in. I want to try to do a short video just so that we're not using up too much of your time. Okay, so in the last video, I talked about triggers, and so I just wanted to emphasize on triggers a little bit more because once we identify that we do have an anger management problem and we are willing to do a little bit of work and we want to figure out how to start controlling our anger and managing it a little bit, these are some tips and some suggestions that can help you do that. So there is an anger management tip that says, be aware of your anger warning signs and triggers. So I'm reading off of my anger management read here. So I'm just continuing from where we left off. While you might feel that you just explode into anger without warning, in fact, there are physical warning signs in your body. And I think we talked about this a little bit before. Anger is a normal physical response. It fuels the fight or flight system of the body. And the angrier you get, the more your body goes into overdrive. So becoming aware, excuse me, of your own personal signs that your temper is starting to boil allows you to take steps to manage your anger. So these might be some physiological symptoms that you have inside of your body that are warning signs that you're about to explode, that you may act out in a way that you don't want to act anymore. And it can help you be a little bit proactive. So when you get angry, you want to ask yourself, do I get knots in my stomach? Do I clench my hands? Do I clench my jaw? Do my hands feel clammy, or do I feel flushed? Do I start breathing faster? Do I get a headache? Do I start pacing and walking around the room? Some people see red. They have trouble concentrating. Some people, their heart starts to pound, tensing of the shoulders. So I know for me, when I get angry, and when I have a surge of fear, because remember, anger is fear-based, I get an adrenaline rush and I automatically clench my fists. I feel it in the gut of my stomach, and I get a headache because of the surge of adrenaline. So when I feel that, I know that I'm angry. And then that's where I take responsibility of how I'm going to act out in that anger. So generally, for me, I take a few deep breaths. I don't do anything at all. I don't say anything. I don't do anything. I just take a few deep breaths and I let all of those physiological symptoms kind of calm down and de-escalate a little bit. And then I can assess the situation and review the situation. So identifying the negative thought patterns that trigger your temper. So you have the physiological triggers, and then you have the cognitive, the thought patterns. So you may think that external things, the insensitive actions of other people, for example, or frustrating situations are what cause your anger. But anger problems have less to do with what happens to you than how you interpret and what you think. And we talked a little bit about that in the last video. So our interpretation can be huge. And, it's really our perception of things around us that can help us cope and deal with daily life situations. So overgeneralizing, like if you feel like you're always being interrupted, if you feel like you might feel like you never consider me, everyone disrespects me, I never get the credit I deserve. So thought patterns like that, they're just going to set you up to be angry all the time, because those are unrealistic thought patterns. Especially when you use the word never and always, those are just unrealistic, and there's really no such thing as never and always. So obsessing on the should'ves, the could'ves, the woulds, I must, those are kind of like illusional thinking, fantasy thinking, if only I had of. Those are all the thought processes that are just not real or true to the actual situations that may be going on. Again, sets you up for anger and frustration because there's no validity to it. When you're mind reading or jumping to conclusions, when you just want to guess what someone else is thinking, or you just want to, pretend, not pretend, I'm sorry, excuse me, when you want to just assume how someone feels or what they're going through, is going to set you up, because chances are whatever you think someone else is thinking or whatever you think they're feeling is probably wrong, and you're better off just to ask them. If they're important enough to you and you have a serious enough relationship with them, an intimate relationship, you should be able to ask them what's going on, what are they thinking, how are they feeling. And if you don't have that kind of communication in your relationships, whether it be with your kids, your coworkers, your spouse, then maybe you need to reevaluate the relationship, and maybe even take the opportunity to ask that other person if you can work on that relationship. And if, they're not interested, or the relationship isn't that serious, then it doesn't matter what they're thinking or how they feel anyways. There's nothing you can do about it. So, just letting stuff go. So we definitely don't want to be jumping to conclusions and assuming that we know what someone else is thinking or feeling. Also collecting straws, looking for things to get upset about. Some people, they just subconsciously do that. They're just looking for things to get upset about. And if we look for things to get upset about, we're going to find things to be upset about. So I'm going to switch the page here. I'm going to try to kind of keep this at 15 minutes for you guys. Let's see. So blaming other people. So being a fault finder. Always, trying to say that it's someone else's fault for the situation. And of course, we need to take responsibility for our own actions. But if we can just agree that things just happen and really it's nobody's fault and there's nobody to blame, and we can just get into the solution, that will just ease things up a little bit. But generally, when we're going to blame somebody or find fault for somebody else, then that's going to trigger some emotion and probably some anger on them, and then it's going to come back to us, and then it's going to cause frustration, and then we then again have anger. So we want to avoid people, places, situations that bring out our worst. Definitely, there's nothing wrong with being honest and saying, when I go there, I always end up mad. If every time you go to Walmart and you leave and you're frustrated and you're aggravated and you're mad, don't go to Walmart anymore, and I know, that may not be very logical, but when we're talking about our sanity, sometimes, or maybe, go early in the morning when there's barely anybody there. If the way that you're driving to work, maybe you need to leave a little bit earlier. If there's certain congregations or certain places where certain people are, and that you're going to be getting upset, then, avoid those situations. There are places and people that we cannot avoid, that we know upset us, that we know is going to trigger anger. And I always look at those as opportunities to practice anger. So we kind of need those people in those situations to help us be able to practice, to grow and get better. So again, it's going back to maybe some physiological feelings. So we want to focus on the physical sensation of anger. While it may seem counterintuitive, tuning into the way your body feels when you're angry often lessens the emotional intensity of the anger. So I think what's happening there is that if I'm focusing on, okay, my fists are clenched, I'm having this adrenaline rush, which has led to a headache, my stomach is tense. So if I zoom in on that, I'm actually refocusing my thinking onto what's going on with me rather than what the situation is. And whenever we can change our thinking and change our focus, that's definitely going to help de-escalate the anger. That's another reason why breathing techniques are really effective, is because not only are we breathing and bringing oxygen into our blood flow, but we're also concentrating and thinking about something else, which is distracting us from the initial situation. Okay, so another tip for cooling down would be doing some exercise. So if someone's in the beginning stages of practicing to not rage, break things, throw things, hurt people, things like that, I always suggest, hit the floor and do some push-ups, go for a run, go for a bike ride, punch a punching bag. You have to get that energy out, and if it's not so severe and it's more of a internal anger where you feel the rage inside, do some yoga, do some Pilates. Again, go for a run, go for a swim. Physical exercise is an amazing tool to help control anger management. So, some people, they will always have anger. And so it's just a matter of learning how to manage it. And so maybe you need a daily exercise routine to prevent the anger management. I know a lot of people, they do boxing classes and martial arts classes, and that helps them maintain and keep their anger in a safe arena. So use your senses, take advantage of the relaxing power of your sense of sight, smell, hearing, touch, and taste. You might try listening to some music or picturing yourself in a favorite place. Stretching, massaging, things like that, rolling your shoulders. You'll see a lot of people just kind of like take some deep breaths and loosen up the tension and stuff. So, and then again, counting to 10, just count down. Focusing on counting will let your rational mind catch up with your feelings. And if you still feel out of control by the time you reach 10, just count again. It's making that initial choice to do something different. Okay. So, also, what's really important too for cooling down, give yourself a reality check. So when you start getting upset about something, take a moment to think about the situation and just ask yourself, how important is it in the grand scheme of things? A lot of people get mad for things that are not even that important, and they're wasting time, energy, health, relationship, and really it's not even that important. Is it really worth getting angry about? Is it worth ruining the rest of my day? We have the control and the power to dictate how our day goes. Just because somebody upsets me early in the day does not mean that it's going to ruin the rest of my day, unless I let it, unless I choose to dwell on it, talk about it, tell everybody and complain about it, or I can just pray for that person and let them go about their day and not let anybody have that much power over me. Is my response appropriate to the situation? So now I need to hold myself accountable. Is the way that I am responding to the other person respectful? Is it in a way that I want to conduct myself, or is it offensive? Is it disturbing? Is it threatening? Is it manipulative? So I really want to give myself that kind of a reality check. Most of the time we have to ask ourselves, is there even anything I can do about it? Step one will tell you, and it's really important that we understand that we're powerless. We have no control over people and things. And the only thing we have control is how we react. And if I can't change the situation, I can't change the situation. And it's easier just to admit the powerlessness and let it go and move on. And then is taking action worth my time? So that one is really, you got to really find the balance with that, because, anger in a healthy sense is a defense mechanism, and it's telling us that we're in danger in some way or another. So if I'm in danger and those are my senses, anger is my defense mechanism telling me something's going on, then I have to ask myself, is this something that I need to take action on? Maybe somebody is trying to violate me and I need to take some action, and I need to hold that person accountable for their actions so that they stop hurting other people and so that they can have the opportunity to work on that for themselves. So is taking action worth my time? Now, maybe somebody did something that had nothing to do with me, and I'm just mad. So now I'm going to go and tell somebody of authority just to kind of get this person in trouble, or maybe just like in a revengeful way. That's not worth my time. That's not worth my time to try to be revengeful or try to make somebody feel the way they made me feel, because now I'm just acting like them. So, excuse me. So that's pretty much all that I wanted to share with you today. And to finish up the anger management red number 3, my name is Carol DeVargas, and I'm with a Divine Balance Counseling Services. And if you have any suggested topics or any questions or comments, you can leave them below. Thank you.